Hey, Fitzy here, back at it again with another one. I went and made myself a welding stand. Got all my welders and everything put onto one stand. It's very movable. It's on 4 casters. Everything on it is all scrap. I never bought a thing for it. It was all stuff I had kicking around. And I designed it as I went. I never had no plans. I never drew nothing up other than a footprint that I started with. And then I just started to come up from that. And I built everything from scratch. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun project. I'm going to show you how I made it here now. Stick around. So, I've been scattering this stuff throughout the garage everywhere, okay? This is poked in one corner, that's poked laid on top of something else and is kicking around in the welders on its own. This has been laid out, shoved in the old original box it was in. The problem I got in my shop is I'm always looking for ways to condense things, to make room, to make space more usable, make it more friendly, okay? The problem I got is that all this here, I'd like to put into one unit. This welding cart worked great. I've had it now a while. I modified it in an earlier video to do it, and it hasn't been leaving the shop so much. I don't want to cut this up. I want to leave this alone. So if I do have to take it outside the shop and have to go anywhere, I can actually just pull the cart out, lay the welder and the gas on it and go, okay? So I don't want to modify that. I want to leave that alone. But what I want to do is I want to build something that I can put that in, that in, that in, and that in. Hang all the stuff off it, okay? And have a spot where I can actually move it around the garage. Now, this here was fine with the wheels and everything on it, but I would like to be able to turn this 360. I find after getting pretty confined over on this side of the garage when I have cars and stuff in it, and it's kind of hard to move the welder around. It'd be nice to be able to rotate it. I have casters on it all the way around, so I can actually rotate the welder and have it that. Also, I found that the way I made this sticks out, okay? I've after breaking this off once already, or it was damaged when I got it, so it's the same reason. I'd like to have the base of this wider here, so this is protected. When I was putting it in against the wall, putting it in, it wouldn't fit in snug, because if you look down, that sticks out farther than the front of the welder, so it's stuck off and that type of stuff. And the back of the tank, this here stuck off. I would like to have the perimeter of whatever I make covering this stuff up. Same with all this stuff here. When you build boxes, you think, okay, you gotta mount that box, and that box, and then put something for that to mount to. But then you gotta deal with this, okay? You got cords, you got more cords, and you got cords over here. So I gotta take that in consideration, places that I can hang all these cords. Because for now, I've been just wrapping that around that, and I've been wrapping that around that. But I'd like to have it so that it's hung up and it's tidy, okay? Now, this got a really long cord on it. The problem what I got is I need an extension cord for that to use it. So I'm just going to make a short cord on this, cut it off, and then I'm going to make an extension cord out of that. So that way I can use it on this machine, and I can use it on this machine. Plus, if I got anything else that's 220, I can actually use this cord to run it 220 across the shop. That's an extremely long cord. It don't need to be that long for that machine, okay? And like I said, because my outlet is there on the wall right here, okay? So I've been playing around with some measurements and everything here now, and the plan I have in my head is I'm going to mount this welder on top of this welder, okay? This is a spot welder, by the way, and that's a plasma cutter, and this is another spot welder. I'm going to build a little drawer for that, a little box that'll fit in, that'll slide in, and it'll close, and you just lay it down into it, and it'll be almost like a drawer. That's the idea I got for that, okay? That way that's out of the way. I can lay all this stuff on the shelves, but I like to keep it all together. And I got it in my head to build this platform for a number of reasons. As I've been working here, I've been noticing little things. It'd be nice if I had this. It'd be nice if I had that. I don't like this feature. I don't like that feature. So I don't want to have it too wide, okay? So I got to have it wide enough that it'll actually fit down between the cars on this side here and, move around the shop. But it got to be a bit longer, because I got to house this tank as well. So I played around. I got some measurements and everything, played around with it, and I'm just going to start off by building a base. And I don't really do any major planning. I think about it a lot, and I plan as I go. I have a certain size that I want to fit everything in, so I think I'm going to go that route. This is narrow and that is narrow, so that can fit alongside this here, because I'm thinking of only making something that's about 20 inches wide. That's about this wide, and I figured if I made it about 20 inches wide, I can put that alongside and put this underneath it, and then the tank of gas can go behind it because this is only narrow, see? But that's the idea I got in my head. I gotta go dig through some stuff. Now, everything I'm gonna be making out of this is old shelving, old scrap steel, old caster wheels I've had upstairs. I went upstairs and went through my caster wheels, and I come across these here, 4 of these. 2 of them got locks and 2 of them don't. So I'm gonna use them, okay? And I have an abundance of this stuff, okay? It's a little, like, probably a 1/2 inch by 1.5 inches. I have an abundance of this. So this is what I'm gonna make the frame out of, is this stuff here. And I have a whole bunch of shelving that I'm going to use for the shelves and actually to make a drawer and whatnot out of, right? So I'm going to go ahead now and see if I can start digging out some pieces and parts and see if I can make something to put all this in. So here's what I come up with. 20 inches by 30 inches. Okay, I got it drawn out on this here, this large square here. That there is the large welder, just that welder there. On top of that will be the small welder that will go in this box here. Now, the measurements that I got drawn up here include the section sticking out here, and same with here, this here sticking out. So I got room to hang stuff inside the machine, which I'm looking to do, have it so it hangs in the front of it, but it's hanging inside the perimeter of it. I got that done. The tank will go on the back. I'll put shelving or something over here for consumables. I got a place to put my MIG wire and whatnot. And then I'm going to make a small little drawer for this to fit into. That'll just slide in. You lay it down and slide it in. I'll probably put something on top of it as well. I'll build that as I go. I'm not going to overthink this. I'm just going to basically, what I'm going to do first now, I have an overall dimensions. It looks like I should be able to fit everything in there. Because the way it's going to work is that there's going to be a height to it. There's going to be another shelf on top of it. And on top of that will be the welder. This welder and the plasma cutter will be mounted on top of that. Now I'm seriously thinking about putting a platform over the top of this, okay, over the top of the welder. Somewhere I can just throw tools and hang a pair of vice grips or hang a grinder and even spot to hang the welder when I'm working. Because I've always finding when I'm working on stuff, I have a tendency to lay tools on top of the welder. And of course they don't stay there and there's not a lot of room. But if I had something on the top, that way I can have a place to put tools, okay? I've always found that I've always been throwing tools on top of this. I have nowhere to hang the gun when I'm not working. I'll probably put some sort of hook that I can hook it in. Hang up a pair of vice grips, lay a grinder somewhere, all that type of stuff. So it'd be nice to have a spot where I can lay stuff, okay? So I'm thinking about putting a top on it. I'll worry about that first. I'll do the bottom, get it on wheels, build a second level, get the welder figured out, and these little things here, and I'll just build up. I'll just start building a little tower coming up, and I think it works out to be 36 inches high, so I worked it out with that, on top of that, with a platform on top of it, along with the wheels. It works out to be about 44 inches, which is roughly about that tall there. Yeah, no, you get you a 44. That's how tall it will be, okay? With the wheels and all, it'd be there. So it'd be about the height of my waist. Same height as the bench, I think. I might make it the height of the bench. So that might do. Not quite. No, it's going to be taller than the bench. So I'll work that out. I'll figure that out. But what I'm going to do first, I'm going to get some scrap steel. I'm going to start cutting up some of the steel. I'm going to use this stuff here as the perimeter around here. I'm going to use that stuff there as the perimeter. And what a nice thing about that is only 1/2 inch thick. So I've taken that into consideration because everything's got to fit inside this. I'm going to build a box. The biggest thing I'm trying to build this is so that when I put it in against the wall, it's not bringing up and stuff's not sticking out of it and whatnot. So it's a nice, smooth finish on the outside perimeter of it. Might be a scattered cord or something. I'm going to work on that as well. So I'm going to go get some more of this and cut it all up and make a box perimeter and then make a platform and then mount wheels on it. So I got the 4 pieces cut out. Okay, all I'm doing now, I cut them to length, which is actually like 2 or 20 and 2 or 30. So the outside measurements are that. What I'm doing here now is I'm coming in a 1/2 inch, marking a line, and then putting them on a 45 here so that they'll actually meet like this here on a 45 degree. I just cut them on a 45 there so that the outside diameter is still the actual measurement of 30 and 20. So I'm going to get all these cut now. And once I get them cut, then I'll start fitting it together. Get them cleaned up and get them ready to weld them. So I got them all cleaned up. I got the ends of them cut all on a 45. All I used is the 45 on that. Laid it up against that there and scribed it. Like so. And scribed it. And then I cut through one side, cut through the other, then cut the two, joined the 2 pieces together. Never got carried away with it. And this is the type of fit you got. I got it on a 45. So I'm going to weld 2 of these together now. I'm going to do the same with the other 2 there. Make sure that I actually got a square box. Make sure that it's 30 by 20. And we'll go from there. So I'm going to go ahead now and get these welded up. So before I got too far into this, I figured I'd stop and show you. I got the box made, okay? I just welded it all together on the corners. I measured diagonally this way here and got her square. So she's good that way. And she's 20 by 30. So I turn around and start fitting the wheels. And the wheels go on, all I'm going to do is just going to weld them on, okay? I'm not going to get too carried away with them, but that's what I'm going to do in there. So I made up these braces here. Made up 2 of these here now that I'm going to weld in. And they'll go like so, and then I'll just run a bead here, like this around this here to weld them in place. And that'll be the bottom done with the wheels on it. So I'm going to go ahead now and get them welded in and get them wheels welded on. And there you have it. Got that all welded on. You can spin it around, push it side to side. Right, all I got done is I just welded them on, okay? Little 3/4 inch beads on it. And the little braces on them there to give it support. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a platform on this, and I'm going to set this up because I'm going to put my legs up from here, but I'm going to put the platform on first and weld these corners in such a way that the platform will actually be able to weld this, and it won't be welding just to the flat steel. I'm going to build it like layers at a time. I want to build it and then start fitting everything on top of it to see what I come up with, and go from there. So over here I got an old shelving. I picked up another bunch of this the other day, this shelving here. So I'm going to go over now, I'm going to cut up a piece of this, and I'm going to use that as the base. So here's what I'm up against. I got the piece cut out to the size of the top platform. Now the inside of these shelving got braces. I'm going to leave the center one in it, and I'm just going to cut it off, and I'm going to weld it on here, so that'll give strength in the center of it. But these two outer ones got to be removed, okay? Because they're right in the way of the brace that goes there. Now to size them up, there's only like one, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, but only 8 spot welds on it on either side. So I'm just going to grind the head off of them there, pop them off, remove this one, and remove this one here, and trim off the center one so I can fit that panel on. So there I got it all welded on. All I did is I drilled a few holes all the way around, and I plug welded them on, okay? I like that, doing it that way. It leaves a nice clean crisp edge, okay? And you haven't got them little knobs of welds sticking off that you got to grind off, and you can see it has been welded together. This is basically the way I got this done. So then you can spin it around. And I welded the brace on, that center brace that was there, so that gives it more strength. So now that I got that welded on, it's pretty well straightforward. That stuff is extremely thin. It's only good for making something like this here. I picked it up the other day. I got some heavy stuff with it, but I noticed a bunch of this stuff is here, and this got to be like 22 gauge metal. So it's good enough for this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to strip this down. I'm going to get the wheels and everything off it, get the handle off the top of it, and get this here fitting on that platform, and then going from there, finding my heights and the way I got to build everything. And there you have a bunch of parts. And I got it laid on the platform. That is where it's going to sit, roughly. As you can see, I got the little small one laid next to it. I'm going to build some sort of box or something for that to fit in. That'll slide in and out. I'd like to keep that in something that is covered, so it don't get full of dust and whatnot. But I got to build a platform now coming up to the next level for the welders and that to sit on. I'm still debating on what way to do all that. Am I going to come all the way up with it, build the full works of it, and have another shelf section? I haven't really decided yet. That's the reason why I really found it hard to plan, because I got to visually see stuff, and sometimes I see things and I say, oh, well, I won't need to do that, or yes, I'll do that. The bottle is going to sit here, and it's going to stand up here, and the welder is going to be on top of it, so it's going to come up to this platform up here. But I want to have access to the valve, okay? So I got to make sure that that is going to stand up there. And so probably what I'm going to end up doing now, I'm just going to grab the bottle and just lay the bottle there and see what it looks like. So here I got a bunch of steel. I went and cut it to length. I got 4 lengths at 39 and 4 lengths at 23. And I'll show you my plan. So this is the whole concept of what I'm going to do. These are side sections of what I'm going to do, and I'm going to weld the 4 corners and stand them up. As you can see, I got one piece laid here, so that's going to stand up and go right up to the top here. I'm going to build a shelving after the fact. I'm going to make another one now. I'm going to cut and make a smaller one that'll only come to here, and that way I can put the shelving fronts on them this way here, and I can run from side to side. It'd be a lot easier to do it that way than it is to try to go across from both sides. But I'm going to go ahead now, get 2 of them welded up, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make the 3rd short one that's going to go here. I'm going to decide that one after I get them welded up, because I don't know what way I'm going to run this across the front here and across the back, because I got to be able to take the machine out of it. So I'm not putting it in there permanent, right? So I'm going to go ahead now, get 2 of them made, and come back. So this is where I'm at. I got the 2 sides welded on. Now some may say, well, Tony, you put the floor in it. You should have put that in after. I wanted to put the floor in so I had something flat to start with. I'm building this as I go. I have no real plans. That's about all I got in the way of plans, is that drawing on the floor, just to give me some measurements from side to side and length. But other than that, I'm just winging this, okay? So I put the plate on the bottom of it, and then I welded that. And I was welded on the sides here to the bottom pieces, and on the ends, I put lots of heat in it, welded it. It's strong, okay? I'm not building a tank here. I'm building a cart, okay? So you haven't got to be too fussy. It would have been harder later on. I would have had to brace it all up and everything and slide the floor piece in there and all that. I prefer to do it this way here because I got a lot more strength to it this way. Anyway, so now I went ahead then and I made 2 cross braces and put it across so this thing is squared up. It's squared out every which way. So what I got to do now, I'm trying to figure out, is I got to figure out the height of this and the width of this. Now the problem I got is that I want this to fit in there tight, but these bolts are going to interfere with it. And I think I'm going to leave the sides open. And what I'll have to do, if I takes the welder out of the cabinet, I'm going to have down take these bolts out. There's only 4 bolts to take off to slide it in. No, there's not an issue. I got them vents. So I got to take them into consideration. So I got to make it wide enough for them vents. Okay. That makes perfect good sense, because it's not going to fit in there, in between the rails to slide in there with them vents on it. Okay. So I'll make it as wide as the vents apart, and that will give me my section set here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build another one of these, but only short, that'll fit in here. And then I'm going to build another cross brace back here, down low, so that'll weld there, and then across the bottom here and out the front here. I'm trying to do this in 2 sections because I want to have make drawers in it and have a front section on it. And then, of course, I'm just going to have a large top section going across here, which is probably going to be laid on the flat. But I like to have it part open over here. I got ideas in my head anyway, so what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to measure up this here and the height of it that I wanted, and then I'm going to build another one of these frames. You might be wondering what this steel is. It's a racking of some sort that goes on a rack stand for hanging things up. So it would have been mounted like this in a store, whatever it was, and things hung off it. Tools or whatever, I don't know what was on it, clothes, I have no idea, but it's dandy steel. I'm getting a good use out of it. I just went out and got another bundle of them, and there's still, I don't know, 30 or 40 pieces like this out there, so I'll get a good use out of it. I'm going to make a nice little rack out of it. So, anyway, back to cutting. So, here's where I'm to now. I made that middle frame. Okay, and I turn around and welded that in place, and I put some cross bracing across the back and across the bottom there to square it all up. I'm just building this as I'm going, and as I progress, I start to see things. Over here, I was talking about building a drawer. I think I'm just going to leave this compartment open now, and I'm just going to put a shelf in here halfway up for putting consumables on, probably welding wire or something like that, and just have it so I can just lay the small spot welder down inside here from this side here. So I might end up putting another brace across here just to give it something, or I might leave that open just so dirt can come out and whatnot. That's the reason why the holes are there too. So what I got to do next now is I got to the bottom of the spot welder up to here. What it is, it comes to about here. Okay. And what I got to do now, instead of laying this way here, I got to turn it this way and come across here, and I got to follow it right on in through there. So I'm going to make an L-shaped bracket now. That's going to weld from there to there, and that'll be our top platform that we can lay our welder on and our plasma cutter on. So what I'm going to do, that'll be the next piece I'm going to make here now. So I'm going to get some of the scrap there now and just make a bracket for there and weld it in. So there's all I went and did. I went and took 2 pieces and I put them on their end, like this here, welded them in the corner, and then I actually then just welded them in place, made sure they were level along here, so everything was flat. Now I got this done. I got a spot for the spot welder, one for the uni spotter over here, or not the uni spotter, the other spot welder. I'm going to figure that out now in a minute when I get the top made. But what I'm going to do here next now is I'm going to make a platform for in here. What I'm going to do is over here, I'm going to run another piece along here, just so I got a ledge to lay on, because I got a ledge over here and a ledge up front, and then I'm going to make a piece of steel. I'm going to lay over top of that there and spot weld it onto that all the way around there and down through there, so that I got somewhere that I can actually lay the welders to. So I got that one put in. Okay, so now I'm going to build a platform off top of that. All I did is I went through my scrap pile. You could probably recognize this piece. This was a piece of metal that I used on another project. and I made it too small. So I'm going to take the piece out of this now. I went and measured it up and got the size out of it. So I'm going to cut that out, and that'll be my platform. I want to do the top a little bit heavier because it's up off the floor. And so I got that piece there. And I'm just using scrap that I got kicking around. So I'll get that cut out now and weld it in. So here's what I got done. I got the piece cut out. And I turned around, I went around, I put spot welds in it. I got them about 4 inches apart. Don't need a lot of them. Just wants to hold the panel in place. I done it that way just so to clean it up. And then I just turn around in and mark the spots. And then grinded the paint off where the spot welds are going. So that'll fit in there. And I'll go ahead now and weld that up. So there, that's all welded in and grinded off. Nice and clean. Nice clean edges all the way around like that. Now, next thing I got to figure out now is the tank. I'm going to put just some sort of loop or something down here and have to find some way to mount it up here so I can strap it on or whatever. And this is what I come up with. I went and made up a few little brackets here. Just a bit of 14 gauge. A little bit of scrap that I got here. Okay. And I just cut a couple of strips off it, cleaned it up. That'll be the bottom one. The tank will sit into that there. And then this will be the upper one. Now, this one here I got a bit crazy with. What I'm going to do here now, that's going to be spot welded onto the back of it like so. It's going to be spot welded on there like that for the tank to fit into. Then what I got 2 of these brackets here that are going to fit in here, okay? Like so. They'll go on like that. They'll be welded on there. They'll be spot welded on here. Now what I want to do here now is I'm going to use a strap like this here. There's an old one I had kicking around. I'm going to cut it up. This type of strap, I'm just going to have it running from here to here, and you can just pull it tight when the tank is on. I put a nut and a bolt in here, and a nut and a bolt in here with a washer, okay? So, hang on, now I need to find a nut and a bolt. I got everything else here, but I haven't got a nut and a bolt. Where am I going to find a nut and bolt to? Oh, what's this? Oh, look, junk thrown on the floor. Here we go. There's a washer, and a nut, a bolt, a nut, and a bolt. There we go. Everything you need. Oh, one too many nuts. Oh, no one too many nuts. Yeah, hello. Pick up another one. There we go. It pays to leave junk on the floor. So there it is, all installed. I just fold this up a few times and put a washer on it. By rights, I should have a square washer or make something up for it. When it tears, I'll fix it. Over here, same thing. This over here got some stitching work done on it. So I'll just drill through the center of the stitching, so it's pretty good. And then that here, I'll just hold that in place and just let it go when you want to. Down the bottom, I had some issues, okay? I put the ring on and I forgot to realize that the tank is right out to the edge of the measurement that I had. So when I put it right on the edge. So the thickness of the metal, I was off. That's ridiculous, isn't it? Full thickness of the metal, 14 gauge metal. That's what I was off. Oh. What I'll do there now is going to make up a new strip, and I'll just run a strip from there to there. The reason why I did it like this is because the bottle for the gas is right here, and I couldn't just weld it up, so I wanted to get it fitting in place. I'm probably just going to hook this up temporarily now and wrap a strip around that, just tack it in place, take the bottle off, and weld it up. But that's it for that one. That's that. You can see where I spot welded it on, grinded it off. It just makes it cleaner, right? It's a nice little spot for the bottle to sit. That's done. I'll leave this side alone. You never know. Might get another bottle of some kind sometime. So, but now I got that done. I can mount the welder in here. I think the next thing to do now will be make this top. I want this top now. The way I want this done, this got to be left open in the front because the handle, when I slides the welder in, just clears the top of this here. I was going to put a piece flat this way across here, but it's too thick. So I'm going to leave that alone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 90-degree lips coming up here all the way around on the metal. I might run angle iron right around the base of this first top of this. Because the reason for that is I'm looking for somewhere to hang my weld for my grinders. When I'm not using my grinder, I can hang my grinder on the side of the machine, right? And I'm just looking for simple little things that I use a lot and incorporate it into this here. So like as you can see, I have my grinders. I hang them up here on these lips along here. See the way they're done? So when if I done this here, up here with a piece of angle iron, I'll be able to hang it up here while I'm working on the rig instead of laying it down. I'll also have this tray up here. I control hammers and dollies and whatever on, right? Okay, get started on that. So I went ahead and I straightened that up there. I got another piece put in there, a band put out, and it hangs out over the side of it. So my calculations were off, ridiculous. But you can see a better look at this now, the way this is all rigged up here. I got that done. Now what I'm doing here now is I'm putting a perimeter around the base of this here. I want to have it so that the welders don't slide off it, of course. It'll just have an opening in the front for it to come in through. It's just something I like. I'm going to put a divider down the middle here. I like to have my welder nice and snug in the rig. Now, here's one issue I had when I built this, is that when I built this here, I put this angle iron on the side of it, but it doesn't fit inside of it nice. So what I want to do, I want to fit the welder on this here now. I have another piece right here that I want to install in it. As you can see, what I got done here, I got this done here, but it just goes down so far. Okay, I just got that there, put into that there, welded on either end. But I want to put the welder in place here and fit it where I want it to go. I think I'm going to have to put a stop back here because the welder can't go past this. I just realized that there now. So I got to figure out something for that. And then I got to put this here. It's going to go right here on the side of the welder, just up a little tiny bit, just enough for it to hook the welder. So I'll get that all figured out there now and mounted. So here's what I got done. I got that bar put across there and welded in place, and it's just clearing the bottom of the door there. And what the problem I had was the end of this here was sticking back further. So what I ended up, I put a little L bracket down, I put 3 spot welds in it, down there to keep it from sliding back too far back into this here, so that way it's got a stop on it, okay? So now I got access to opening the side door, okay? So I can open the side door to change the wire. And then what I went and did then, I got a little bit crazy, and I went and turned and put a divider here. So this here had a spot to fit in there, and it's snug in place. I don't know, I've always done that with my welders. Most people just lays them on stuff and they're happy with them. Me, I just like to have them so they don't move around. It's just one of those little things I likes to do. So I got that put there. That's done. So the welder's got his new home figured out. Everything else seems to be good. I might figure out some sort of shelving or something down here. I haven't really figured that out yet. But I think I'm going to move on to doing this top section next. Everything else is good. I'm going to take the welder back off of this now and put it back on its original stand with the bottle, so it's out of my way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a perimeter of angle iron around the top side of this here. And then I'm going to put a sheet of steel inside of that just so I can throw stuff on it. Tools, wrenches, and whatnot when I'm working on stuff. Because I've always found I've always laid stuff on top of my welder when I'm at a job working on stuff. I'm always finding places to lay stuff. And I think I need a spot that I can lay my tools next to me when I'm actually working on a project. So that's the purpose behind that. So I'm going to go ahead. I got some angle iron there stood up in the corner. I'm going to cut a little square base now that I can actually weld on that there. Here's all I went and did. I took the measurements that I had. I think it's 20 by 23. It was the measurements that I had. And I cut out 2 lengths of 23, 2 lengths of 20, cut them on a 45 on the end, and then start welding them around, making a square out of them. Measure from here to there, and from there to there, made a square, right? So that's a square box. And what this will mount this way here, and I'll put a piece of steel down into there, just lay so I can throw stuff on top of it, and then I can hang my grinders off the sides of it like this, see? That's the whole purpose behind it. And nothing will fall out, of course. So I'm gonna go ahead now and get that mounted on top of this here. There it is, all welded in place. What I went and did is I welded it on the inside. Just put like 1-inch tacks every 4 or 5 inches all the way around. So that way the outside looks nice and clean. I haven't got to worry about none of it. It's like, it's not a structural piece of the whole point that like I got to drop it off a cliff, right? That's going to be more than strong. It's much the same as a toolbox. If you look at it, it's basically the same size toolbox. So now I got to go get it, see what I got in the way of scrap steel around to make a top for this now. Well, I'm here trying to figure out the metal for the top of it. I can go out and I get a full-size sheet and cut a piece out of it, but it just breaks my heart to have it cut up a full sheet in order to just get this panel out of it. I got lots of scrap here along the walls, and I got scrap here. I have lockers that will work. These are not lockers, these shelving, but they're very light. Remember, I used it on the bottom, and it's very thin, but I would like to have 18 gauge on the top, if all possible. And this stuff is too slight for that, because the ribs are going to have to be removed. These here are going to have to be removed, so that there is out of the question. I haven't got a piece big enough here. I got to make it with 2 pieces, or I got to go cut up a full sheet. So I'm going to get a bit creative here now. I got a piece here with a lip on it, and I got a piece here with a lip on it. I'm going to use this lip as strength. I can run the lip whatever way it does, and I can run a strength bar down the center of it or whatever, just weld it from underneath, so I'll just have a little line in it going along there. So that's what I basically come up with. I don't want to cut up a full sheet for this. I really don't. So I'm going to use what scrap I got around here now, dream something up, and I'll show you what I comes up with. So here's what I come up with. I managed to get a piece this size, okay? This piece here, you can see that's as big as I can get out of the scrap. And then I had the sections of this here kicking around. So I laid that over the top of that, and then I cut it off and made it so that 2 of them are the same size. Now you would think just weld across there and be done with it. No, what I want is to add a bit of strength to the middle. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to put the 2 seams, the 2 angled sections here, together. I'm going to flip it over on the bench. I'm going to weld the other side of it to give it strength. And then that seam is all you'll see on top, so it'll look nice. And then I'll trim up the sides here and lay it in place. And that'll have a structure going across here that'll give it strength to the middle. And it won't look that bad. So here's all I got done. Only simple. I took the 2 ends that had the angle on them, and I put them together, pulled them tight, and I welded a few strips along there. That's it. So I hold them together. Then I trimmed off the inch out on either side on both panels, so that'll actually lay flat down side of the thing. And I went down, I just put a few spot welds around the panels. I never put a spot weld in the corner because my grinder won't fit in there. Okay, so I'm not going to fool around with that. It's just a panel to, you know, throw a few things on. It hasn't got to be too overly built. Okay, so a few spot welds on it, that's enough to hold it in place, just to clean it up. I'll take this now over here. Lay that in place there. Spot welded on. I got the tray on, and I got strength in the middle. And it looks presentable looking. I'm going to do nothing with it. There it is, all welded in place. Okay, just a few spot welds. I went and give it a little dab in the corners, just to give it a bit of strength. Haven't got to worry about it. Put it nice and flat. Lots of strength there with that brace across it there. So that's done now. I got an upper tray for throwing stuff on. I can actually take my grinders now, and I can actually hang them off the side of it like so. If need be, I can throw stuff on top of it. Okay. Next thing I'm going to need now is I'm going to have to find a way to hang up my hoses and my lines and whatever, my leads as they're called. So I don't want to put no hooks on it because hooks always seems to tear everything up. And I've seen some nice setups where the boys got tube coming out with flat steel on them. So this is the plan that I got here now. I'm going to put a couple of mounting points on the front here and one on the back to hang stuff up on. And so I'm going to make up something for that now. I'm going to find some flat bar that goes this way and a couple of pieces of pipe and see what I can come up with. Scrap pipe on the floor there. Scrap square stock here. So we got a piece of this and we got a piece of this and we made this. All I did is I flattened it out in the vise, left it round, a little bit rounding, so it was 1 inch wide on the base here, so that way it fit around that nice. And there's a nice round thing there, and it's not something you're going to be hooking in too much. You can probably, you know, clothes can probably clear it, because if that was a steel flat bar, I know really well I'd have everything tore up on it. So it can also be used as a handle to push it around. So I was going to put two on the front, and I said no, I'm going to start adding to this now when I put all the equipment in it and go from there, because I'm going to put another one back here for the plasma cutter, have this one here for the MIG welder, and then I'm going to have to rig up something down here for the leads for the spot welder, and then I'm just going to lay the other one down inside here. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to make up the other one of these, mount it on this side here, have that done. I'm going to tidy up my little bit of welding on the outside edges of it all the way around. I want to size up this bottom section here next after that and see what I'm going to do down here, because I think I might find a spot to probably put a few grinding discs or something on it. My rack on the wall is pretty full, and I'm laying them on the bench here now, so I need somewhere else to store them. There I have the second one welded on. Just made it up the same as the first one. No different than that. I never got like precise in measurements. I just eyeballed everything because like I'm just throwing this together just to have something here to put my equipment on. It'll fit somewhere. So now I got a few other things I'd like to do to this, but I think until I get everything placed where it's got to go and everything figured out, I got to find somewhere to hang these here. And then there's a few cables. I like to add a spot for some grinding discs and that, but I figured I should get everything mounted on this first and then go from there. So let's get all this gear, the welder, that there, that there, and that there. Get it all mounted on this and see what it's like. I got everything put on it. I added some stuff to it. But I'm going to walk you through what I got done here now. Of course, the MIG welders on the top, plasma cutters there, the big spot welders there, the small spot welders there. I got the hooks, one here in the front. I got all the MIG welder stuff wound up and hung on that one, okay? Come around to the side here, you can see the plasma cutter. You got to do maintenance on it. Down the bottom here, I made this little rack. All it was is more of this stuff, and I put it on an angle. I had it so that some round stock that I just put on it, and I put it on an angle. So I got a spot to put a few grinding wheels and cutting wheels so I can go right to them, okay? I got a spot there that fits in there right nice for a couple of rolls of MIG wire. And then I come around the back, I got everything from the plasma cutter. Everything runs along the front of it here, comes around to the back, and hangs off the back of it, okay? Everything hang off of there. I got a couple of grinders laid here now just to show you that, and I got the cords run over here as well. But the grinders there. Also, I got the thing for the grinder. It goes in there. The bottle of glass is all mounted on it. With the bottom, I still got room there if I want to put a second bottle on it later on or whatnot. And the MIG welder's all hooked up. I got the grinders that I can hang on the side of it. I got lots of room for throwing stuff on top. Spot to hook your measuring tape. Okay, and that was always an issue with me, is every time you'd be building something, you're always looking for someone to put tools. And I've always ended up laying them on top of my tool, on top of the welder. And, it got to a point where stuff started falling on the floor. So, I'm very pleased with it. My whole goal with this was to have everything inside a perimeter of size. Everything fits inside this perimeter here. Even the back, all this back stuff, which is hardly ever used. The only thing is this here protrudes out. This is the only section that sticks out past the entire thing. I even got hook. I went and put a hook on the welder here to hang the leads on. So they're tucked in away. So that's out of my way. That can slide out when I wanted to hook it up. The cord for that, I got to pick up a plug for it. I cut it off. That's tucked in behind there, right? So I can just manage to take that out, plug that into the extension cord when I need to use it. I got access. When it comes time to change my wire, you can see the doors there, so I can open it up to get in there, change the roll of wire if I need be. So I'm very pleased with it. I've been thinking about it and wanting to get something like that rigged up, because all this other stuff was just kicking around the garage all the time, and it was always getting on my nerves because I had nowhere to put it all. And it's very easy to move. It's no different than the toolbox. It actually spins 360 degrees. As you can see, and moves across the floor pretty good. Now, it's not as good for extension cords and running over stuff, and you can't go out by the door with it. But if I got to do any amount of welding like that, I'll hold on to this one here, put my welder on that if I got to take it outside. It doesn't take very much to remove the welder from this, but most of everything that I'm doing is in this shop, and I've been having troubles when I'm over tight to the wall trying to turn the welder, and I didn't like the way I never had it on casters all the way around. Like even just front casters, I found it was still an issue because the back ones didn't turn, but you can actually turn this right inside of itself without an issue. So, you don't need a lot of room to rotate this, right? So, I'm pleased with it. It's a simple little project made out of scrap steel. I had no plans. I had a little footprint that I figured out that I had to use for the sizes of everything, and I just started from the bottom and worked my way up and just added on as I went. I never overthought it. As you can see, I just used all the old scrap stuff I had kicking around and just did a decent old job on it. Now, it'd be nice to paint this. I have a lot of my tools you've probably seen that I made, and they haven't got nothing painted. So maybe sometime in the future, if I can find the time, I like to dig everything out, finish off a few other tools, get everything painted. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but it'd be nice to have this all nice painted up now and looking good. So I'm going to use that just like it is there now, and I'll get started on it. So I got a little welding stand made up. Anyway, I hope the tips are good, and until next time. What are you getting out of it? Yes. What do you think of the welder? What do you think of the cart? Yes, boy. Man over. Get some stuff done. Huh? Yeah.